Well, hello, everybody. It's Mike here. I just want to welcome you back to Mr. Cast Iron and Weekends with Mr. Cast Iron. And we're certainly looking forward to interviewing this fella tonight. He's a hometown guy that I grew up, same hometown as he did. So let me go ahead and pull him on here. Hey, Mike, how you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
good, Mike. How about you, brother?
Well, I'm just feel like I'm in reverse for some reason. That's an
Sometimes that
inside
happens.
that's an inside joke for me and you. So, but no, anyway, folks, sorry we're a little bit late. I was sitting here talking to him in the background and never hit the live button. So we just want to appreciate everybody in the chat room. Looks like we got Craig with Behind the Garage Barbecue,
All right.
Jeff with Tennessee Buck Outdoors. Certainly got Stephen, our moderator. We're cooking with Stephen and Jacqueline. So appreciate all you guys popping in here. So just wanted to talk to you a little bit. I'll back up what we were talking about earlier, but this has been a date that we've been looking for. I've been really excited about getting to interview Mike. He's a hometown guy from the same town I'm from, as I mentioned earlier. But there's a lot that he has done that I'm really proud of, and I just want to talk to him a little bit about it. A lot of you may or may not know what today is. It's not just June the 6th, and we've got Mike Baker on with us, which that certainly is true. But 77 years ago was what we would call in America D-Day, and the American troops and the Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy to do what we call now as the Second World War. And they were to defeat a tyrant. And Mike also was part of trying to defeat, actually they did succeed, but defeated a tyrant later on. And so we want to talk a little bit about that with him. But, I'm so proud of you, and thank you for your service. I just want to publicly say that. The Second World War that we talked about, my dad was actually in that invasion. A little bit later on, he ended up getting captured. He was wounded and captured. He was a POW of the Second World War. The SS troops did everything they could to starve him down and kill him. My dad had pneumonia in both lungs, double pneumonia. He was starved down to about 88 pounds before they were actually able to get out of there. And for some other reason, no other reason in my eyes other than the grace of God, they were able to overpower their captors and they were able to escape. And of course, the motto, you never leave a man behind. And so they never left my dad behind. And so, 20 years later, I was born after that particular time. And so I'm just thankful for that, or I wouldn't be here. And but Mike, you also done something for our country. We appreciate your service. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Thanks for your grandfather's service as well.
My dad.
Your father. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, your father's service. So I was part of Desert Storm, Desert Shield. I was in 1st Time 4th Marines, 13th MUSOC, which is amphibious assault organization, special operations capable organization. And so we were one of the first Marine Corps units there. I mean, we were actually in the Philippines in August of 90, and we was on bivouac doing training operations, and our first sergeant had an emergency formation and just, let us know, hey, Saddam Hussein has invaded Kuwait City. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but, if he doesn't pull out of there pretty quick, we're probably moving that way. And within just 24, 48 hours, we were heading that way in there. So it was a quick thing. And then I was there for, it was from August until I think I got back stateside late April, if I'm thinking correct, or maybe first part of May. It was a whirlwind because I went in the Marine Corps June 9th, ironically close to this date, and got out June 9th. So when I got back stateside, it was just a short whirlwind, and then I was out. So it was a crazy last year for sure. And we succeeded with great power and strength, and it was an amazing thing to witness. American might is unbelievable, and especially when it's used for the good, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Let me welcome a few people here in our chat room. Mike, you got a bunch of people popping here to support you. We got Craig with Behind the Garage Barbecue, good friend of ours out in Rhode Island, and Cooking with Stephen and Jacqueline's our moderator. He's certainly good friend of ours down in Trinidad and Tobago, and Tennessee Buck Outdoors, Jeff over in Tennessee, naturally. Let's see who else we got here with us. Small Town Texas Barbecue. We got Mac over in San Angelo area. And let's see, I seen someone else here, Kimberly Dye. You wouldn't happen to know who that is, would you?
Yeah, I didn't know. That's my sister-in-law. I think you just passed my wife there too. Yeah, I see her, Lisa Holt, or Lisa Baker.
Where did I see that? Did I miss? Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Lisa. Sorry about that.
Get everybody popping in here tonight. It's like a family reunion.
Well, we'll have to walk straight line since Lisa's on here. You know, my wife, she's out. She had some things to do. She's going to be a little bit late, but she usually, rides shotgun here with me and kind of helps me out and keeps me lined out. Pokes me in the ribs and things like that. So. But Charlie Pickles is with us, and let's see, who else did I just miss there? Simply Wendy popped in. We're going to have her on in August. So good to see you guys. Hey, you guys know your role. I mean, just, it's just kind of laid back here. But if you have any questions for Mike, be sure and pop those in. I'm running by myself here until Teresa gets back. Just be sure and put at Mr. Cast Iron and then put question marks where I can see that. And I'll try to get that up on the screen for Mike. And we'll try to pick his brain a little bit, get to know him a little bit better and everything. So he actually knew some of my nieces and nephews. He knew my brother. My brother passed away in 2002. And actually Mike's dad and my brother were friends. And so anyway, we got Michael Dye, looks like popped in here with us. Samantha Lewis, good to see you. Little Eric over here. He's our little buddy down in you. Are you familiar with Eric, Mike?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm one of his sub to his channel. He does excellent. Yeah. I love watching his stuff.
Yeah, he did a good little video this morning with chicken omelet or something like that. But anyway, he's really cool. He's about 5 or 6 years old and makes good videos and stuff.
He does an excellent job. I'm really impressed with the stuff.
Grumpy old gringo. We just call him GOG. So he's here with us. So good to have him. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, Mike, I think another thing that I want to mention to our crowd here that they're not aware of. And folks, if you've not yet been to Mike's channel, be sure Steven's got all of his information here in the chat room. Be sure and go over and check Mike's channel out. Be sure and watch some of his videos. Give him a thumbs up. Leave him a comment. If you've not yet subscribed, just let him know you've seen him over here on Mr. Cast Iron's channel. And hit that subscribe button. I know he'll certainly appreciate that. But anyway, getting back to the Iraqi war, later on, you actually was blessed to be part of the Presidential Honor Guard. Is that not correct?
Yeah, it was actually before that. So I went in, I joined the Marine Corps in June, went to boot camp in San Diego, MCRD, and then from there I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, went through infantry training school, and it was in the September of '87, and as part of it, I looked up one day, we had this huge formation, and it was all over the Marine Corps this went on, and went through all these different formations, and they kept coming through and just knocking people out for height and whatever. After about 2 weeks, I was the last Marine standing there, and got selected to go to DC in fall of '87 as a Presidential Honor Guard. I worked in the White House, worked for President Reagan his last year in office, and did the '89 inauguration, and then for President Bush his first year. And the odd thing was, I can remember being in high school, around my junior year. I guess it had been probably my sophomore year, I think it was, whenever President Reagan first came into office. But feel like a kid then, and then fast forward just a few years later, and was actually working, for him as a Presidential Honor Guard in the White House. It was unbelievable. But that was a very unique experience. I mean, there's a lot of Marines I'm connected with on Facebook that we have a group and everything. We try to do a reunion about once every 3 years back in DC, and it's for all Marines still alive that's worked that duty. And it was wow. I don't think I've ever topped it. I think it's one of the most amazing things I've ever been a part of. It was pretty phenomenal.
Wow. Well, we certainly appreciate you doing that. Getting to your channel, we kind of want to know a little bit about your channel too. Can you, before we do that though, can you kind of tell us a little bit about you and your family, or where you live, where you work, or whatever? Kind of just let us know where you hail from. I know you're not in Kennett, Missouri anymore.
No, I'm actually in Dexter, Missouri, which is only about 45 minutes or so north of there, not far from where you are. I think you're in Piggott, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And I work with Honeywell. I'm a regional sales executive with Honeywell, so I cover about 5 different states, selling comprehensive I do government contracting, so it's energy efficiency projects for state, local government, high ed, and colleges. So I travel occasionally, not so much the last year and a half. I think I've got kind of used to doing most of my customer interaction like we're doing this tonight. So the lack of travel has been somewhat pleasant, but that's what I do on a day job. But what I really like to do is barbecue all the time.
Yeah.
If I could do that all the time, I would for sure.
Boy, I know the feeling.
Married, got one daughter who's just now actually she's going into her second year of college, and been married 29 years.
Wow! Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I got to praise Lisa, man, for putting up with you, huh?
Well, I tell you what, I thank her every day. I have to thank her every day and ask for forgiveness when I get done.
I know the feeling, man. I really do. But Ginger Snap Kitchen, Stephanie's popped in here with us. Ian Goods, another friend of ours, popped in here. So good to see you guys. And certainly if you guys have any questions for Mike, be sure and pop them in here and we'll try to get them up on the screen. Teresa hopefully she'll be here for too much longer so I don't get myself in trouble. But anyway, we'll get back to talking about your channel. How did you get started making videos, man?
You know, it's crazy. So I never had even had a YouTube account until I opened this channel up in December of 2020. Actually, I think the New Year's Eve, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And how I got started is, you know, I've always loved barbecue. I got started years ago. We can talk about that in a little bit, but just kind of developed a reputation for people knowing I love to barbecue. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I'm constantly learning every day. So I'm by no means the end all expert, but I just I have a passion for it. Love doing it, love the process, love everything about it. And as that kind of spread, and as I would share stuff on Facebook before I had my Facebook group, I got to where people would just start contacting me and say, "Hey, I'm cooking a Boston butt today. Can you help me out here? I'm cooking wings," or, you know, ask me what they should cook. And it got to where I was, you know, on any given Saturday or so, if I was smoking meat, I may be texting with 4 or 5 people, you know, California, someone, New York, or wherever, and be kind of walking them through it. And I loved it because I was cooking my own, having a good time, and then helping them walk them through the process as well. And it's just something I enjoy doing. And so my wife told me, she said, you know, what you really need to do is, first of all, you need to start a Facebook group, which I did actually June 30th of last year. And then she said, you need to get a YouTube account. And so I kind of kicked my feet at it for quite some time. And eventually said, you know, I think that's right. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy doing it. That'd be a great place to have a positive interaction with people and learn stuff and share ideas. So I started the Facebook group first. And then she said, you know, you need to start a YouTube channel because it'd be a good way to share information and be able to spread it to a wider audience. So that in long is what's got me started. It was just strictly to share the passion, if you will, barbecue.
So you're going to blame this off on Lisa then?
I am. If I could just get her to film me, you know, it'd be the best part.
Well, you know, that certainly is one of my questions too. But before we get there, I just want to let you know I have completely done my homework. Now, you are also a barbecue judge. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, believe it or not, me and my wife both are. We're both certified judges. Kansas City sanctioned, KCBS judges. Got, if I'm not mistaken, it was about 2005, I think, when we got certified.
Wow. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah,
how that come about?
Well, it came about because at the time I was in the mortgage business, and me and my business partner had our main office in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And there was a barbecue contest, Kansas City sanctioned contest that they did every year. Me and him would cook in it. We would also use that for marketing and all kinds of stuff. And so one year they came in and they were offering a judges school along with the competition. And my wife said, "Hey, we're going to do this." And I said, "Hey, perfect." So I'm ready to do it. So me and her and my business partner, his wife, all of us went through and got certified. It was a fun day, and it got certified, and it worked out good because it gave you more insight, you know, as to what judges are looking for. And you know, it's just something we found we enjoyed doing it together. We have you know, a couple each year that we judge kind of on a regular basis, and it's just a lot of fun.
Cool. A couple other people here popped in. I'd like to acknowledge Jamie Max popped in. He's an actual chef over in Scotland.
Yeah.
And we had Jamie on a while back, so good to have Jamie with us. He's always got some interesting things going on. So, talking about your channel now, how would you actually describe your channel? Is it just primarily barbecue, or are you cooking other things, or you got some kind of travel stuff going on, or is it primarily just cooking?
It's right now it's primarily cooking. I see it. Excuse me. It'll evolve and change over time. I'm so new to this. I'm 6 months into it. I started it to share my passion. So I feel like right now it's kind of like, I'm out there kind of sharing just process, cooking process and that kind of thing. But I would probably describe it more as at this point as maybe a how-to kind of channel. You go to and you can watch, you can see how do you cook a Boston butt. You kind of get to see that for over, through the process from beginning to end. Also, there's stuff I put in there that I posted one this past week about how to take a barrel smoker. In my case, I have an Oklahoma Joe's Bronco, and be able to get that up to temperature without outrunning your set point and getting your fire out of control to where you can't get it back in the manageable range. So I like to look at my channel as a place you can go. Like I said, when I started it, my goal is to be able to reach a lot of people because of the texting and stuff I had going on. This way I can kind of say, hey, there's a video that can help you with that, and I can touch more people. So at this point, I kind of see it as a how-to. As it goes along, it may change. I mean, I'm amazed by Craig at Behind the Garage. I mean, he's got some of the most amazing. Every one of his videos have got recipes. It's unbelievable. I mean, he does a great job, and I'm not doing that type of videos. My probably are more how-to, but eventually I may get more into that type.
Yeah. Craig's got some pretty cool stuff going on with that rotisserie he does.
No doubt. It's amazing.
Pickle's got a question for you here. He says, what do you find about the different taste by area for competing in barbecue?
Well, Kansas City sanctioned is, well, first of all, it is quite a bit different. Most of the judging that me and my wife have done and cooked in has been here in Southeast Missouri, Northeast Arkansas. We do a contest every year down in Jonesboro, Arkansas, some in Tennessee as well. And so because of that, it tends to be similar, and Kansas City sanctioned tends to be more wet sauce, sweet wet sauce, if you will. So you do your ribs, you're going to do your dry rub, and then you'll finish it off with a wet sauce. But now if you do Memphis and May sanction, that's going to be more of a dry rub that's going to kind of finish it out. They primarily do baby backs. Kansas City sanction does a lot of spare ribs. So you're right in that, Pickles. I mean, barbecue is definitely a regional thing, and that's why it's really hard to set, I think, your personal baseline of what you're trying to cook or what you're trying to accomplish against a broad audience that you see in YouTube, because you got your regional preferences. I mean, you go into a region somewhere and people absolutely have their own preferences in those areas, and it'll taste maybe totally different what you're accustomed to. So it's definitely a regional thing, but I think most of the stuff we're involved with has been probably more of a wet based with Kansas City sanction. Now, I personally prefer dry rub. That's what I prefer.
Yeah, me too. Simply Wendy asked a question here. How did you get into competition cooking and judging? I think you kind of touched on that a little bit, but do you care to follow up on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a love for barbecue and a passion for it. Going back to, when I was a kid. I'm only 25 now, so it's not been that many years ago. But
yes, sir.
Going back, it goes back probably, 35 to 40 years back. And how I got into it, I don't know if you remember a guy named Don Seward there in Kennett, Missouri, but had a son probably around your age, maybe Steve. But
yeah,
he was my
Seward.
Yeah. So Don was my neighbor, and every day whenever he would come in from work, he had a big brick pit in his backyard. He'd fire that thing up, and he would throw on steaks every night. So I was a kid, I was out in the backyard playing basketball, playing catch, and all this stuff, and I'd smell this smoke come across, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So I got where I'd go over and I'd hang out at his barbecue pit there, kind of lean up against it, talk to him. And he just, we would talk every night. And that's what really got me turned on to it. And, as time would pass, I started getting more into it. I really didn't start doing a lot of cooking on my own until I got a little bit older. But that's where it started. And, from there, getting into the competition part of it, it goes back to really we started because I had a passion for it. My business partner at the time and the mortgage company did as well. And so we decided to do some competition cooking for marketing because our office was local. And once we got in there, got to do it, we just loved doing it. And, loved to do it. We thought, we might as well become judges as well. And so, I don't do near as much of it now. Our daughter just recently got out of high school a year ago. I think in the future, me and my wife would do more of that. So the last few years, last 10 years probably or so, it's been more judging than anything else. But that's kind of how I got started into it. And it's if you're not involved with it, from a standpoint of judging or even cooking, I recommend do it. I mean, it's a fun weekend. It gives you a chance to network with people and just have a good time. So if you're not involved, check out your local competitions and go get involved with them.
Yeah. Speaking of backyard, growing up there in Kennett, smelling that smell, man, I know how that
Yep.
goes. Well, Mac over at Small Town Texas Barbecue. Are you familiar with Mac? Are you familiar with his channel? He does
Yes.
some review channels of barbecue joints around Texas, but we interviewed him a good while back. But he's got a question for you. He says, based on the flavor and texture, do you prefer backyard or competition barbecue?
I prefer backyard personally. I mean, competition, if you're doing ribs, for example, you need to have a certain bite. You bite into it. You need to have a clean pull away with that. And so I love competition barbecue. Don't get me wrong, but I think backyard, when you're just cooking just to make it good, and you're just wanting just phenomenal barbecue, to me, it always comes out a lot better that way. But I am sub to his channel, and I love watching your reviews. So keep those reviews coming.
Yeah, he does a great job on that.
Yeah.
He's making a turn. He's starting to do some other reviews of other type of restaurants and everything. So I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of that. Looks like In the Kitchen with Karen's popped in. That's a good friend of ours out in California. Yeah. So good to see Miss Karen. So happy Sunday to you too. Folks, like I said, if you've not yet been over to Mike's channel, be sure and go check him out. Check out his videos, give him a thumbs up, and leave him a comment if you don't mind, and then hit the subscribe button, and I know he'll certainly appreciate that. So if you've not yet hit the thumbs up on our video here, we certainly would appreciate that. That helps us out as well. My buddy over in Kentucky, Mr. Ian Good, says, hey, Mike has Stephen left the E off of your name in the chat room there on the deal there. But anyway, I caught that earlier. I started to send him a message. I thought, I'll let it ride. But he says, have you ever had pig snout, barbecue pig snout, snout, the face meat of the pig, basically?
I haven't. And I'm not really for sure if I want to have it. I mean, is it pretty good? I've never had it. I mean, it's kind of like Pickles pig feet. I never had that either, but I've never have tried it. But, hey, got to try. I mean, if it's part of the pig, it's got to be able to be smoked up meat, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're all about pigs around here. I do a few videos every now and then about bacon and bacon grease. Have you seen any of that?
I saw that. Yeah, this past week you had quite a few going. Interesting.
Let's see. Wait a minute, I missed one here. Charlie said pig's head is really good barbecued or pickled. I'll take your word for it, but I mean, you can though, really. I mean, I know like in luau's and different things like that, and I had Stephen, my moderator, on a while back down in Trinidad just a week or two ago. And I was asking him about that, about cooking a whole hog. Have you ever done that, Mike?
I haven't. It's something I've wanted to do. I just don't have a smoker that can accommodate it. But I would love to do that. And because from what I've been told, that is actually some of the best barbecue you can make when you get done with that. You just chop it all up, mix all the stuff together, ham, bacon, everything just mixed into a chopped pork. And that's definitely something that's on my to-do coming up here sometime in the future.
Yeah. Ian was talking about that pig snoot. He said when it's crispy, it's delicious. And so I'll take your word on it. I don't know. I'd probably try it. I pretty much will try anything once and twice if I like it, so.
I'll see if my wife, I'm not sure, but if I can get my wife to taste it, then I'll cook some up.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't get my wife to test that. I doubt she would do that. So some of the things I cook, she's like, I don't know about that, but that's how it goes. So is your wife and your daughter and everybody pretty much on board with you as far as everything you cook, or is there things that they don't like? Or?
No, they pretty much like it. I mean, she's probably, another room right now going, well, I've got him snowball, but they tend to like it, and it's one of those things that, whenever we do this weekly, when I get to cooking, I mean, it's almost like a holiday vacation, just sometimes just be us three and we got the whole house going like we're, expecting 50 people over, but we just enjoy it, the camaraderie, hanging out with each other, cooking, and usually do dinner that evening. And so we make a whole day out of it. But I think, probably brisket. I think my wife leans towards probably my brisket. Both of them really like my ribs as well. And Of course, pulled pork, that always goes over easy. But I think my wife asked me to cook a lot of brisket. That's one thing I think she really enjoys.
Yeah. Ian said it tastes a lot like beautiful bacon and a mix of pork rind too. I guess eat it with white bread in St. Louis. So okay, appreciate that, Ian. Now I know. Of course, you said you've only started your channel back in 2020, December of 2020, but and you really wasn't part of YouTube for very long. But I know probably now, because I've watched several of your videos, I know you're watching a lot of other shows, other channels, trying to gain some knowledge on things, little tips and tricks here and there. But what are some of the bigger channels that you like to watch or whatever? I'm not just talking about everybody here in the chat room. I know you're constantly watching a lot of our stuff, but is there any other channels that have kind of inspired you in your cooking?
You mean with the exception of Mr. Cast Iron?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly, hey.
I love your channel. I love watching your stuff, so I love watching your stuff. And, I think one of the first ones I started watching was Malcolm Reed, How to Barbecue Right. I'm sure you're probably familiar with him. And he's from just right here in Hernando, Mississippi, just south of Memphis, which is not far at all from where we are.
Right.
Yeah, I love his stuff. I mean, he does a lot of good how-to stuff. He's got some great recipes. I mean, he's just overall is just really enjoyable to watch. I mean, him. I love watching Craig from behind the garage barbecue. I'm really amazed at some of the stuff that Craig puts together. I just love watching the recipes and the stuff he does and his processes. And also, I have a Dead Broke Barbecue Ricer. I'm sure you're probably familiar with him. I usually jump on your show on Sunday night, and he has a show as well, a live show, jumping both of y'all's. But I love watching his stuff. He brings a good flair and a good twist to it. Mad Horse Barbecue and also Mad Scientist Barbecue. I don't know if you know Mad Scientist, but that's kind of the core. Meat Cranium, that's that group right there. I tend to watch a lot of stuff. Just recently got introduced to pickles this last week or so I'm looking forward to checking out some of this
Hey,
stuff.
let me tell you. No, I'm just teasing. Charlie's a good dude, man. But well, cool, man. Now, as far as your recipes, is this something that you grew up cooking? The things that we find you creating videos about now, is this something that you grew up doing, or is this something that you've picked up along the way, or is this something that you've seen some other creator do and you thought, well, hey, if they can smoke that, I can smoke that, and I'll do that, or is it some recipe book, or how do you formulate and come up with your recipes?
It's really. As far as recipes go, I mean, when I do a video, now what I do is I have a journal. So when I cook, each time I get done cooking, like I'll have a section for brisket, ribs, and so forth. I always journal all my smoking. That way, when I go back, I have a benchmark and a baseline I'm working off of to try to make things better. But I also have a section just for video ideas. And so I'm always writing stuff down as it comes to me. But I got to be honest with you. So far, all the videos that I've shot so far were strictly not planned at all. I just knew, hey, this weekend I'm going to cook a Boston butt or I'm going to cook a brisket. And right now I'm just kind of documenting, if you will, that process and how I go about doing it. Just kind of sharing what I normally do. And what I'm sharing is kind of what I've learned, over the last 30 years of cooking barbecue. So it's really more of that. So right now I feel like when it comes to my channel, I feel like I'm kind of in share mode of sharing what I know. And at some point I'll hit a plateau to where then I'll start looking at new things to kind of bring in maybe new recipes or how I go about doing it to put a twist on it once I kind of get all this other stuff out, if you will.
Yeah. Well, your better half says we love everything Mike cooks. He does a good job. So
all right.
But just to follow up on what you just said there, I mean, you're a great teacher. I've watched a lot of your videos, and you have this tutorial type teaching. You want to teach everybody the little tricks and techniques of things, and so I know you're going to go far, man. You're going to do good with that. So with that being said, what do you have any kind of goals for your channel? I mean, as far as maybe short-term or even long-term goals?
Yeah, I wrote a couple things down here so I can kind of go back and look at, from a short-term standpoint, I just want to be able to, to provide content that's meaningful. Content that's useful. And what I mean by that is that, I watch other stuff. I learn from other people. I made a video, one of them was called Up Your Game. And what basically my whole point with that whole video is that nobody ever learns all this. It's always, you're always learning, you're always evolving in this barbecue. And, it's phenomenal because there's so many variables at play that every little thing you change makes a difference. So short term, I want to just provide a good base, foundational, meaningful content, that people can pick up on, whether you're an experienced cooker, maybe you look at that and say, hey, that's a pretty good little tip or trick. Or, if you're someone that's just starting out, you can say, hey, now I understand how a lot of barrel smoker. So meaningful content, short term, be able to maybe eventually get me a little bit better studio space. If you see some of my stuff is shot at nighttime in the garage, or maybe I'm out on the patio, eventually I'd like to get that, a little bit better space and, to be able to bring a little bit better quality video. Long term, I'd like to be kind of positioned as a go-to channel for kind of all things barbecue. I eventually what I kind of see happening would be eventually be able to maybe do a little bit more product reviews to give people insight as to, different barbecue products that are out there, whether it be thermometers or smokers or whatever it may be, kind of give my my spill on that and be able to share that information as well.
Yeah. In the Kitchen with Karen says that's the best thing about cooking and barbecuing. You're always learning new tips and tricks.
Always.
So, we're always, all of us are picking up tips and tricks from each other. That's a great thing about the community that we have. Even here in the chat room, I mean, we all are watching everybody's things that they're creating. I mean, I know Pickles is not creating anything, but he'll put something on Instagram every now and then, but he ain't making any videos anymore. So everybody in the chat room's giving him a hard time about it. So, that's just the way it is. We're going to give Charlie a hard time, but really, I mean, we do pick up things from everybody, little tips and tricks here and there that help us along the way. So it's a great thing. How is the community? How have they welcomed you, or how have they received you? As far as the barbecue and the cooking community here that we're discussing,
it's been with open arms. I can't really think of really any negative comments. I mean, it's all been positive. The people that's coming to my channel are wanting to learn new information, wanting to share, information as well. Pickles are getting on to you there. They're wanting to share info, and I love watching your show because I always get to see Pickles' interaction in the over in the chat section. But no, it's been positive. And same with Facebook. My Facebook group, and you may want to talk about that shortly. But my goal is I want a positive, productive interaction and conversation about barbecue. And I want people to be able to share information and not feel like they've asked a dumb question or be ridiculed for asking the question. And that's my goal, is to create a happy, positive environment where you can learn, and ask any kind of question you want, because there's no silly question. I mean, when you're first getting into this, just simply lighting up a smoker is a challenge. You don't think it is until you get going, but it's a challenge. And so to have a little bit of guidance on what to do and what not to do is a good thing. So it's been positive, and I hope it stays that way. And I want to thank everybody who's one of my subs and do that. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, out of love, man, we love you, but I'm going to share with you. You're going to have some negative stuff every now and then. So it's going to come from time to time. You just got to brush it off and let it go. At least it's interaction, it's still interaction. So, you're talking about sharing tips and tricks. Do you care if we share your channel and kind of look at that a little bit? All right. I'm going to see if I can pull that up here a little bit for everybody. Let's see. Here we go. Let me pull that out here and go full stream. So looks like so far you've got 256 subs. So you're doing pretty good just for a year, and gaining more. Hopefully you'll gain some more tonight, folks. If you've not yet been over here to this channel, be sure and come on over. And if you like what he's doing, hit the subscribe button. So you got your channel laid out here. Got you a good thumbnail there and everything. So do you know which video that you have the most views on?
Yeah, so if you scroll down where it says popular uploads, it's that bottom left. I think you went past it there. Let's see. There we go, to the far left right there. That delicious brisket flat on a Masterbuilt electric smoker. And, that's got over 4,000 views, only been out there 3 months. I mean, I just started the channel 6 months ago, and that was one I did about halfway, the halfway point. And about the halfway point, the weather got bad, and so I thought, I'm going to pull out the electric smoker and I'm going to do some stuff in the garage, and that was one. And what I found out is there's a lot of people who, have. I'm a charcoal wood guy. That's where I like to go, but I've also got an electric smoker, and I found there's a lot of people who have electric smokers who want to learn more about how to use it properly and how you can maximize it. And that one there, I've got videos that's next to that in the 2,000 view range, but that one is just, it seems like it's crazy. Every day there'll be 100 views on that or more. And, you know,
wow, that's cool. I'm going to go to your about section here, if you don't mind, see what you got in here. I always like to do that, but it says Baker's Barbecue is founded by a certified KCBS barbecue judge and competition cook who has a passion for the craft and a love for sharing that passion. This channel serves as a backyard barbecue enthusiast who wants to learn about all things barbecue, which will include cooking videos, product reviews, barbecue tips and tricks, and barbecue recipes. So subscribe today and join in on the fun. Also join our group on Facebook, Baker's Barbecue Group, for the backyard barbecue enthusiasts. So with that being said, do you care to talk to us a little bit about your group there, Mike?
No, I'd love to. And the group, hey, Teresa, see you got the.
She can't hear you yet. I got to try to pull her up here. Let me.
Oh, okay.
I can't hear you,
Let me see if I can get her plugged in here. But
so yeah, for the barbecue, for the Facebook group, that was what I started first, and I started that a little bit less than a year ago. This month, I think June 30th will be a year, and started that group just as a way of sharing, building a community on Facebook of people who wanted to share, barbecue, wanted to share, their recipes, their pictures, their cooks. I mean, I love getting on there and looking at, what all people have smoked up that particular day and kind of how they went about doing it, share their processes and any kind of special, rubs they might have used, any kind of special recipes. And, my goal there is I want to grow that group. I want to keep it. So far, it's been, I've had a couple instances where it got a little bit, had to shut a couple things down, but overall, it's been a positive group, and that's what my focus is for people to be able to go in there and ask any kind of question. I have to worry about any kind of negative feedback or response because they want to learn. And it's just a good, positive environment, that's come in there. And I've loved it. It's grown. I've learned. I've met a lot of people through that. I've learned a lot of things, about other people's cooking techniques and what they do through there. And so it's been been great. So Facebook and the YouTube kind of complement each other. A lot of times I'll share YouTube stuff back into the group as a way of kind of bringing more value to the group and hopefully sharing something that would be beneficial and helpful to someone.
Yeah. Charlie's, we're getting some echo somewhere. Is that you or me? Charlie's asking, do you like seafood? And if so, what's your favorite to grill?
I don't do a lot of grilling of seafood. We do grill. We've grilled shrimp before. We've grilled different types of fish and so forth. But my favorite type of seafood is without a doubt is crab legs. But I don't do a lot of grilling on seafood. I'd love to, but crab legs, if just from the standpoint of what's your favorite seafood, it's crab legs. I remember when I was stationed in the Marine Corps in DC, we would go down to Ocean City, Maryland, and on the boardwalk there, they had a place. And I talked to a guy the other day who I actually worked with, and he was in Baltimore. He was just down there and said it's still there, but you can order crab legs. You sit outside on a picnic table on the boardwalk. They put out butcher's paper, and they come out and just dump a whole pile, and they'll continue dumping them as long as you want to eat them. I've never seen a place like that before, and that's the only place I've been able to get my fill where I walk away satisfied. But crab legs by far, and if I could sit there and eat them for 3 or 4 hours, I would. My wife loves them as well, so when we get in front of a crab leg feast, we put a herd on it.
Yeah, I heard that, man.
His wife is beautiful. And his daughter.
He snuck up on her one night somewhere. I can assure you that. He's like me. He's got a face only a mother could love. But no, I'm just teasing. No, we're just having fun, man.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, she's in here in the chat room.
Oh,
good. Miss Lisa, this is my wife Teresa here. So. Well, hey, what's one of the favorite things you like to cook? I mean, is it brisket, or you like to cook steaks? I know you like ribs.
Yeah, I do. I don't do near as much grilling as I do, long smokes. I just enjoy the process. I mean, my favorite thing to cook would probably be, man, it's a toss up between briskets, butts, and ribs. The biggest challenge is brisket is the biggest challenge. So I love the challenge of cooking a brisket. I love the fact you can settle in for quite a few hours.
Yeah.
So you got time to really enjoy yourself, enjoy your company, or however you want to do it. But I would say brisket's probably the one I enjoy the most because it's the biggest challenge. I love cooking ribs though too. And with ribs, the great thing about ribs is you can make them up so many different ways. It's like a dessert. I mean, you can make it taste like a dessert, or you can make it taste like just a flavorful dry rib. But brisket and ribs and butts are the top three that I enjoy the most. If I'm going to grill, and I'm a steak guy, I like about a 2-inch fillet or about a 2-inch top sirloin. Top sirloin is a steak that to me is a little underrated. It's one of your cheaper cuts of steak, but man, it turns out a good steak if it's cooked right.
Yeah. I like them old fatty ribeyes, man.
Oh, you can't go wrong with a fat ribeye, no doubt about it.
You got a pretty good steak shop up there in Dexter, don't you?
Yeah, actually,
Or a meat shop.
We got Hickory Log Barbecue up here. You got quite a few. You got Hickory Log, Dexter Barbecue. You got Dexter Queen. All three of those have been in business for years up here.
Yeah.
But now Strawberries down at Holcomb.
Yeah.
They've opened up the steak shop down there, and they've had that going for a few years now, and their steak is really good. We ate there the other night, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah. Well, man, let's talk a little bit of technical things here. We're already bumping on 40 minutes here, and I hadn't even. It seemed like, man, I could sit and talk to you for hours and hours and hours, dude. Let's see. Wait a minute. Your wife says Micah smoked salmon a few times. Yeah, we had that today, matter of fact.
Yeah, we had salmon.
Yeah, in an air fryer. Hey, you got an air fryer?
Air fryer.
I do. And I love watching that. I cook so much in that. So you're right. Yes. My wife has done some salmon in that. It does turn out really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really good.
Hey, you know what? I got two air fryers.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Well, she does.
It's a long story.
It's a long story.
Those are mine.
Yeah, there's some people in the chat room. They know a little bit about that. Max, one of them, small town Texas barbecue. But anyway, they started picking on me. Yeah, we won't even go there. Let's move on here. Talking about your videos. So, what do you record your videos on?
I just use my iPhone. For a long time, I would just stick my arm out like this, but eventually bought a tripod or a stand, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I use that. I do need to buy a lapel mic. I haven't done that yet. I got a pretty loud voice. Marine Corps kind of got my voice to where it's never gone back quiet since then. But I have a loud voice, so it carries well. But there are times that I have a challenge between getting a far enough or wide enough shot and my voice coming across good. So that's the next thing. I use the iPhone. I don't have a lapel mic, but that's my next purchase. So I got to get a lapel mic where I can get the camera back a little bit and still my voice come across good.
When you said that, the Marine Corps did that too. You made me think this would be putting you on the spot, man. I'm only doing it because I'm a friend, but can you rattle off your cadence for us?
Oh, you want me to do it? You want me It's been a while since I did it, but I'll try to get it out here a little bit. I love George. That's a little bit right there.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You know what? I don't think my wife and daughter have ever heard me do that either.
Really? See, there I'm pulling things out of you, man.
I do it in front of God and country out here. I had no idea it was going to happen. Definitely put me on the spot with that.
See, that wasn't even on the paperwork. That wasn't part of the questions, was it?
No, it wasn't. Actually, when it come time, I was over in Desert Storm Desert Shield, and my goal was to be a Marine Corps drill instructor. That's what my goal was. And so I knew it was time to re-enlist. And so I told my staff sergeant what I wanted. So I want to, if I do re-enlist, I want to be promoted to sergeant E5. I want to be able to go to the drill field and be a Marine Corps drill instructor. So got back stateside. They did get me a package, and I got what I wanted. I was going to go to be a Marine Corps drill instructor, going to get promoted to sergeant. And I love the Marine Corps and didn't really want to get out, but I didn't know if I wanted to stay in either because it's such a demanding lifestyle. But make a long story short, it wasn't till the day and the second ticked at 12 noon that I got in my car, drove off. And everybody's like, "You're going to re-enlist?" I said, "I'm not going to know till 12 noon." 12 noon hit, and I decided to go. And but anyway, so when you threw me on the spot there with cadence, I used to have to call cadence a lot because I was, did as an active platoon sergeant, corporal squad leader. Did a lot, and it's amazing how I can't sing, but I can do that. I wish I could sing, but I can't sing at all.
Well, I'm sure you've probably been other places than Iraq. I mean, have you been other places in the world with Marines or that you can talk about?
Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, went over to mainland China. Back when I was in Hong Kong, that was before 97. So if you remember in 97, or I get right, or 97 is whenever Hong Kong converted back from the British back to the Chinese. And but when I was there, we actually, some of us decided, hey, we're going to get a little rambunctious here, and we got on some of the boats and went across Kowloon Harbor into mainland China, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but we did. Hawaii, Philippines. My mind's kind of skipping here because we went to so many different places, but all over the place. Went across. I'll never forget going across the equator before we went up into the Straits of Hormuz and up into around Sri Lanka and up in that area. And I had no idea that, I was just a young greenhorn from Southeast Missouri, but I didn't realize how intense the sun is right there. So we actually had a day, we did a barbecue up on the top of the ship, and they gave us, everybody got 2 beers and got to cook barbecue and hang out. Well, I left my shirt off, for like maybe an hour, and got burnt so bad they actually had to take me to sick bay. Wow. Just kind of sick. They had to scrape off my back and everything. But the intensity of that sun is something else. But so it was just so much. It was such a whirlwind that last year. Before I went overseas, it was DC and then domestic. But then that whole last year, year and a half, I guess it was. It was a little bit. It was way over a year because it's been almost a year in Desert Storm. But
looks like another supporter's popped in here.
Hey there, Shay. That's my daughter.
Lisa said they've never heard you do that cadence, so we got something out of you. See there, man?
Yeah.
That's
now,
awesome.
Now, since I did it once, I got to keep it going. I'll be singing it. I sung it all the time.
You'll be doing it all the time. We'll see that in videos when you're out there cooking. Hey, that'll be cool, man. Getting back to your videos there, you're talking about you record on your iPhone. What kind of editing software are you using or app or whatever?
I use the iMovie app.
Yeah.
And I've watched a lot of your videos and listened to you talk to other, your live interviews like tonight. And I love listening to what everybody else uses. And I go in sometimes, I'll look at it. The iMovie has been, I can't believe how easy it is. And it puts together a pretty good little thing. One thing I wished I could do more is put, more maybe graphics. Like I see sometimes like where you'll put up a recipe or Craig will or whoever will put up a recipe or maybe pop a face up or something like that. And I don't know if iMovie can do that. I'm still trying to figure out what all it can do. There's probably a lot more that it can do. But, how about you? I welcome some input from all you guys on that because I'd love to see what else I could use out there.
InShot's another one you might look into. I know Stephanie Ginger Snap Cooking, if I can think of what I'm trying to say here, but Stephanie uses InShot too. Stephen, our moderator, and Craig behind the Garage Barbecue, they both use KineMaster or KineMaster. I call it KINEMASTER. Okay. So those are two other than the iMovie that are kind of simple to use and everything. So
it's amazing how simple really and what you can do with the iPhone like that. I mean, I kind of put off getting started, and a buddy of mine, Greg Staggs, who's got a YouTube channel, we grew up together and graduated together, and he's got 5,000 or 6,000. He does a lot of hunting stuff. He kept saying, "Man, you got to do a channel, because you got a passion for this. People ask you questions, and you're good at sharing." But I put it off because I didn't think I had the proper equipment. And so finally, when I opened up the account, I thought, I'm going to shoot something and put it out there. I'm just going to use my phone, put it out there. And what I found out was you really don't have to have much high-tech equipment to make a decent video and share it. And so it's pretty amazing what that iPhone does. I mean, there's a lot better quality, obviously, but, for that already being built into your current phone, can't beat it.
Yeah. Well, I've seen, I mean, you're getting the hang of it. I've watched a lot of your stuff and I see a lot of improvement. I mean, I think you're doing a great job. What was one of the hardest videos or recipes was it to record? I'm sorry.
I don't know if you guys watched it or not, but it was whenever me and my wife we did the barbecue pizzas. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's about a 20-minute video and used my Oklahoma Joe's Bronco barrel smoker in there, and we wanted to do pizzas. And it was actually my wife's idea. I said, hey, this sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so she did a lot. I mean, she pulled it all together. She did all the toppings, and because we had 4 or 5 different pizzas that we were going to do. And that was a challenge because we had to get, first of all, she had all the toppings ready to go. That took a little bit of time to get that ready to go.
Right.
Then we got everything set up and staged. You had to cook your crust, and then you had to come back and put all your toppings on there, give it time to bubble up and explain what it was. So it was a lot of moving parts, and we had a lot of fun doing it. I probably got in her way a little bit more than what she would have wanted me to. She had to kick me out of the way a couple of times, but overall it was a lot of fun. It gave us something to do together, and it was a lot of fun. But it was a challenge. It was a challenge.
Huh?
You're gonna ask the pineapple?
Yeah, I will in a little bit. But talking about that, that I'm curious. I know about me and Teresa. Now you got to be honest with me, Mike. So do you? If she had to, yeah, I know it. So she had to kick you out of the way. Do you guys kind of fight back and forth a little bit while you're videoing? You have to stop the recording and.
The crazy thing is that I do all the stuff myself. I record all my videos. But the first few times I did it, I mean, it's the weirdest thing because, like I said before, this thing kind of took me over. It wasn't like I just one day just decided, hey, I'm ready to do it. Yeah. And I did it. And so all of a sudden it went from us having a whole day of cooking, just hanging out. Next thing you know, here's crazy Mike. I'm running all over the house with a tripod up and videos going, they're like, what is going on here?
I can relate.
Yeah, so it was just a change, but I felt such a passion for it. I felt such a passion for barbecue and then sharing it that I just couldn't stop myself. And so, a couple times she's like, hey, we missed the old Mike. I said, hey, trust me, it'll be better. It's going to get okay.
Yeah. Missed the old Mike.
Hey, Mike, we need to move on here, man.
See, I thought you got yourself into
and cook a steak.
There you go.
Yeah, she says, I didn't know we were going to record everything.
Yeah,
exactly. But every time you cook, you're like, gosh, I can't let this opportunity go by.
Exactly.
You are not helping.
Exactly. Yeah, Mike.
I'm going to mute her over here so she can't respond.
Exactly. So, out of all of your library of videos, and you may have just answered that, but which one was the most fun that you recorded, or which one is your favorite? Let me put it that way.
I think the one, I enjoyed the one me and my wife did. That was a lot of fun. But I think the one I probably enjoyed the process on was the overnight brisket cook I did here a while back, where I did a competition style trim on it. And I shared that in a separate video, but then also made it part of that master video. Yeah. But I enjoyed that. I mean, I love the challenge of doing not only, a cook like that, but also being able to film it. And hopefully when it's all said and done, I'm not a movie mogul from Hollywood, but if I can put something together where people can at least watch it and say, hey, that's not bad, and I learned something from it. But I enjoyed that because it was a challenge of setting it up. I put the brisket on it at 9 p.m., had to get my smoker and everything set, get some footage and stuff filmed after, a long day. I think it was on a Saturday night. And then make sure I got it through the evening and still be able to get some footage throughout the night and get some rest as well. Yeah. And then the next morning, be able to get back in there and be able to put together a meaningful end. So if you ever see me, and I'm in 3 different outfits, by the time the video's over, it's probably because I was filming through the night, or I put the same thing back on to try to make it look, So the crazy thing is, though, is sometimes you just never know what's going to happen. Maybe the brisket gets done before you thought it was going to get done, or maybe whatever you're smoking gets done 3 hours later. Yeah. Than what you think is going to get done. But that one I had the most fun, doing because it was the biggest challenge. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing that one.
Now, do you ever get in trouble? Does Lisa ever say you come in smelling like a fire pit?
I smell like barbecue smoke all the time. And I think she's so happy to see the nice weather coming on to get me out of the garage. I get good. I can open my back door and my overhead doors, get good airflow through there, right? Yeah. But she told me right back, she said, you got to start pulling my car out of the garage before you get all this stuff lit up. I go to get in my car and leave, and I feel like I just stepped into a hickory smoke box, so. Yep. Yeah.
Well, hey, man, let's talk about.
I love to walk out in the garage and smell smoke. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your equipment. What's one of the best things you like to cook on? I know you've talked about
I've got a variety of stuff. Right now, what people are seeing is mainly been my Oklahoma Joe's Bronco. I never have had a barrel smoker. And I wanted the barrel smoker. I did a lot of research. I love the Gateway drums. I love all the different ones I found. But what I found with the Oklahoma Joe's Bronco is it gave me all the accessories, a lot of accessories. The price was phenomenal at $299, and it was just a very durable smoker. So I bought that, and just ironically around the same time this channel got going, and so I've done a lot of my cooking on that.
Yeah.
I've also got an indirect firebox, indirect stick burner. I've also got the little Masterbuilt electric smoker that I use for different purposes. But my favorite is I've got a Merle smoker from Ed Merle and those guys in Kennett. You're probably familiar with the big 4-foot rotisserie.
Yeah.
It's a 4-foot rotisserie. I can put. I've had up to 30 butts on that thing before, and it's got 4 racks. I just rotate around. Got a firebox across the back. I loaded up with charcoal and wood chunks in there, and I mean, literally everything in there just marinate. I mean, the juices just marinates. It goes in a circle.
Yeah.
Put butts on there for about 10 hours. Put ribs on there. A lot of times I'll put ribs and then staggered with Boston butts. That way you get all that dripping and stuff. I haven't got that out yet. I own some storage units, and I've got that in one of my storage units, but I'll be getting that out here pretty soon. The weather's been not so great, but I look forward to getting that out and doing some cooks on that. That's actually my favorite one. I've had it for about 17 years. I bought it off a guy named Brad Carter. You probably know Brad Carter.
Oh, yeah, I know Brad.
Yeah. When I was in the mortgage business, Brad worked at my Kennett office, and so he wanted to sell it. I said, hey, I want to buy it. So I bought that thing about 17 years ago, I guess it was.
Wow. What's I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say I bought it, took it to a body shop there locally, had them sandblast it, repaint it, and I think Brad said it was about 15 years old when he bought it. So it's about 30 years old and still runs like a brand new one.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. What's
one piece that you don't have that you'd like to own?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I see that what is the smoker, or what is the cooker there that Craig has behind the garage barbecue? El Charo. I've been watching some of those videos, and I would love to have one of those.
That is so cool, man.
That is
the coolest deal.
Yeah, it is unbelievable, and the food that thing puts out looks delicious. I mean, it kind of reminds me of what you would get if you went to Texas Day, Brazil, or someplace like that. That's probably how they're cooking it.
Yeah,
that big long skewer like that. But yeah, I'd love to have one of those. I've never had one of those, but I bet that would be phenomenal.
Somebody's telling on you. I think sister-in-law says.
Oh yeah, Blackstone too. Yeah. Matter of fact, my wife's wanting that too. I'm gonna want one, and so I think what we're gonna do is get a nice one, set it up in the covered area in the garage area to where you can step out and do stir fry or do whatever you want to. Those Blackstones are pretty phenomenal. We was down in Florida here a while back and visiting family. In fact, a couple of them on here, Kim and Mike was on here. And we went over to my nephew's niece's house, and he has a Blackstone. And he cooked up some steaks on that were like Ruth Chris. I mean, he did a phenomenal job. Of course, he put a little bit of Baker's barbecue seasoning on that. So that made it kick it up a notch there too, But yeah, that thing will cook. It's unbelievable what that Blackstone will do.
Yeah. Max says El Charo is amazing because Craig makes it awesome. But, Craig and I text back and forth quite a bit from time to time. And several people I've interviewed, we try to stay in touch. But I told Craig the other night, I said, man, dude, that right there, some of that stuff, you could sell stuff like that. I said, this is going to blow your channel up. I mean, this is really, he's way over 1,000 subscribers and everything. It's just going to blow his channel up because that's an awesome piece and it's unique and he does a great job with it and people will watch that. And so anyway, you mentioned something I want to touch base on now. You're talking about your own rub. Can you elaborate a little bit on that with us?
Yeah. So we're in the process now. Matter of fact, here's the beta sample, if you will, if you can see that label there.
Oh yeah,
I'm going the wrong way with it there, but it's a Baker's barbecue rub recipe I've worked on for quite a while. I've had for a pretty good while, and got to the point where my wife said, "Hey, I think you need to get this thing on the market. It's good. People like it. Got a good balance. It's a good salty, sweet balance. More salty than it is sweet, but it's a good, robust flavor." So I'm actually working with a guy named Steve Weathington, who owns Black Desert Sauces, if you will. And he has a family member from Dexter who told me one time, hey, whenever you're ready to get your rub out there in the marketplace, I got a family member you need to talk to. And so we connected, and he's working diligently with me. He's a food consultant. He's a retired engineer by trade, and he owns this Black Desert Sauces, and he also has a lot of his hot sauces, A lot of his rubs, he has them. He produces and he has them. He lives in Cincinnati, but he has them in stores all around that area. And so he's my consultant. We're working together. One thing I didn't know, of course, my recipe was done in teaspoons and, tablespoons. So when I wanted to cook, I'd go in there and mix a bunch of stuff up from that size to cook. But when you scale that up for mass production, it's done by weight. So what they have to do is take your recipe, do a weight conversion of that based on mess count and that kind of thing. And then it takes a pretty good while to go back and forth to get the flavor to taste back like your recipe does. Yeah. So we're in that back and forth stage now. And Steve's getting really close to getting it correct. Told him, I said, hey, just take our time. I want it to be right before we get it out there on the marketplace. And plus, it's giving me an excuse to do a whole lot of test cooks too.
Right.
So, maybe that's why I'm slowing him down. But it's been a great process, a phenomenal process. I'm learning a lot through it. And if there's anybody out there that's got your own rub, got your own shake, hey, I urge you, man. If you want to get it out there in the marketplace, do it. I mean, it's a fun process, and to be able to share what you've created with other people and them make good barbecue is pretty gratifying as well. So hoping to have that out pretty soon.
So I guess, the adjustments would have to be because of non-caking agents and preservatives and things like that. You've got to make the adjustments to make it taste like the way you want it to taste too.
Yeah. So you got that to factor in. Of course, that dilutes your recipe, because when you throw something in there with no flavor, then you got to offset it. Trying to get the mess count where I want it to be at, because there's a million different suppliers of ingredients out there and spices. So trying to make sure we got the mess count of it the way I want it. Make sure that when it comes out of the shake, that it covers the meat the way I want it to. There's a barbecue rub really can enhance your bark. People love the bark, and that's what you're really smoking that thing for a long period of time, is to create that bark, make it good. But if your rub is not right, if it's got the wrong mesh count to it, it can end up being mushy. It can be clumpy. So we're in the process now of getting that perfect mesh count, which is the way I have it done at home, and still be able to have the recipe taste just like mine, but have it scaled up with some of the decaking stuff that's in there. So it's a science, man. And I'm not a scientist by any means, but I'm glad I got one helping me out here, because it would be a challenge to try to get that thing out there without someone who understands that.
Yeah. Lee just popped in. Smoking Bear is a good friend of ours, another cast iron cook, and so good to see Lee. Are you familiar with Lee and his channel?
I didn't catch. So Lee with who? What's the
Smoking Bears?
I don't think I am. I need, and I'll go back when we get done and look back through the feed, but I want to check out everybody's channel. I'm not for sure if I am familiar with this channel.
Well, if by chance, that it's not up after we complete the show, I leave my chat up once YouTube renders the video, then, it usually takes anywhere from 1 to 12 hours. You can come back. I usually check out the whole show tomorrow. I'll watch this whole show over and go back and see who was all in the chat room. If it's some channel that I'm not familiar with, I'll usually go check them out and subscribe or whatever. So you'll be able to do that. Just when you see the live chat come back up, you'll be able to go back and look through. Matter of fact, there was somebody on Lee's channel this morning I intended on going back and checking out, and I went back to Lee's video and I couldn't find the live chat. So I don't remember the guy's name, so I don't even know how to find him. But anyway, I know we talked about time wise and everything. I don't want to keep you too long. It's been right at an hour. Are you able to stay just a few minutes longer with us?
Yeah, sure am.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm not boring. Hopefully I'm not too boring to listen to. So I'm going to say I'll bore everybody.
I'll tell you, we could talk to you for 2 or 3 hours on here. I can assure you that.
And your wife needs you to mix some more up.
Yeah, your wife said, I just used the last of Baker's barbecue season in the house on baked chicken. Mike, you'll need to mix up some more for me. So.
That's why I keep this stash into my office. You'll be able to get a hold of it.
That's good. So, well, talking about that, I know you got your own favorite mix and everything, but store-bought type of things. I know one of your videos, I seen you mention and you mentioned it here tonight, one of our local famous, I guess, if you will, barbecue joint, Strawberries there in Holcomb, Missouri. Yeah. Straw won Memphis in May one time, but he's got a good strawberry seasoning, it's called. But what's one of the store-bought type or even maybe some YouTube creators that you follow, a type of seasoning do you like to use or prefer?
I like Sucker Busters. I don't know if you've ever seen any of their stuff. Hog Waller's a good one. I like Malcolm Reed's the barbecue rub, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It's a little sweeter and it doesn't have a real robust kick. But if you put salt, pepper, garlic on as a good base and then use his rub, the color of that rub is phenomenal. That's one thing about that, and it gives a phenomenal bark.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of Meat Church occasionally. I like Cosmos. I'm trying to think. I kind of went blank here, but those are some of the key ones. We have an Orstlands here in town. They carry a lot of the different ones I'm looking at there. So if I want to use something different, I'll kind of go and grab whatever I see there. Of course, strawberries. That's like in this area, that's the go-to staple.
Yeah.
And it's actually, in my opinion, that is one of the best rubs. It's
pretty good.
Yeah,
he's got it figured out.
I remember talking to him years ago when I still lived in Kennett, and I was friends with him and his wife Sheila, and I graduated with Cindy, their daughter, or Sheila's daughter, and we was talking about him developing the rub and his steak rub, and he said his family got sick and tired of eating steaks by the time they got that steak rub perfected, and I told him, I said, well, whatever you did it right, because that is absolutely a delicious rub.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, let me hit you with a little bit of trivia before we get ready and wind down here in a little bit. But what do you prefer, breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Supper, we call it here.
Yeah, so. Yeah, it's more of a supper thing, especially in this part of the country. But yeah, I prefer supper. I try to go a lot on breakfast, but I got to tell you now, I love some sausage and biscuits and gravy. I'm not going to lie to you, I love that. But a lot of times we'll do that for dinner. But no, I'm a dinner person. That's what I love more.
Yeah. If you were going to a potluck, what would you take?
I'd probably take pulled pork.
Pulled pork. Lee's got a question for you. So, what's your thoughts on the Oklahoma Joe Bronco?
Man, that thing is a beast of a smoker. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yesterday, and I went ahead and bought the Oklahoma Joe's Bronco Pro pan to put in. I got the regular Bronco. I actually had originally ordered the Bronco Pro. Ordered off Amazon, but when it came in, I mean, that thing was like it had been in a fight with Mike Tyson. It was beat up. So I sent it back, but I couldn't wait. So I went ahead and just went to the Academy Sports and bought the regular Bronco. I did a lot of reviews on barrel smokers because I was wanting to get a good barrel smoker. I never had one before. And even after looking at Gateway drums and all the ones out there, I settled on the Oklahoma Joe's Bronco because the price point was unbelievable at $299. And then all the accessories that it came with. I mean, it came decked out, and it's heavy duty. But the thing about that is, man, when you set that up and you dial it in right, like a video I just released Friday, and you stay ahead of your temperaturized and you manage it right, you can pretty much set that when you get it done, and you can walk away, and that thing will purr like a kitten, and it smokes, and it's unbelievable what it does. And I take my deflector out, so it's setting up over the coals, long ways above the coals, obviously. And as that juice and stuff drips into those coals, I mean, it just that steam and everything goes right back into the meat. Yeah. But it's an unbelievable smoker, and you could set it up. I've had my regular pan with about 8 pounds of charcoal in that thing. I've ran that 15 hours before I ran out. In this big pan, I could put 16 pounds of charcoal in, and I cooked yesterday for 13 hours, and it only touched a small little section of that. I've had some people did some reviews on it, and they could go 32 hours on that one pan of charcoal and 16 pounds. That's the efficiency of it's unbelievable, and the way you can control the temp as well. I mean, I highly recommend it. And I'm not getting paid by Oklahoma Joe's to say that. But
if they wanted to sponsor you would be happy to that, right?
Go to Baker's Barbecue.
There you go. Absolutely. So, speaking about that, what is your favorite charcoal to use, and what type of smoking wood do you like to use?
I just use Kingsford. I like briquettes. I hear a lot of people talk about the lump charcoal, and I've used lump. Don't get me wrong. I tend to have more luck out of briquettes. I mean, briquettes tend to give me a lot more longevity. I can control the fire a whole lot better. And if you watch any of my videos, you'll see that, to me, that's key. I mean, when you're smoking barbecue, you got time, temperature, and that's kind of the key things. If you change the time, if you change one of those variables, then it affects the outcome. Barbecue's done, it's done when it's done. You got your internal temperature, your ambient temperature, and then you got your time. And so I like to throw as much consistency as I can. So I find that briquette gives me the ability to manage the fire. Now, as far as wood goes, I tend to buy chunks. I like cherry chunks, apple. I like hickory. I do mesquite, but only on a brisket. And I don't always do a mesquite on a brisket. Sometimes I want something different. But I love some apple and I love some cherry, mixed into that, and it's just gives a good flavor.
I like to use pecan a lot.
Pecan, yeah, that's another one. I love pecan. Matter of fact, pecan and post oak, but pecan is one of those that, man, you can do pretty well almost anything with that.
Yeah, it's a good mild flavor.
Yep.
What was one of the biggest fails you had?
In cooking in a video or
both? Yeah, cooking or a video you decided you weren't going to make because it was a big fail.
Well, I've actually, from the video side, I don't know if I've had any. They've worked. I'll tell you one of the biggest fails I think I had, though, is I bought a new stick burner. This has been years ago. Don't even have it anymore. Well, actually, I don't have the smoker. I can't even remember which one it was or what the brand was, but I did 2 Boston butts, and I was going to give one to my father-in-law and mother-in-law, which I did. And that temperature gauge was off on that. And when it was all said and done, I cooked them a butt. I cooked myself a butt. They came, picked it up. They took it. And I've never had this conversation with them, but I just know it's got to be true because my butt turned out the same way. When I went to get into it, I at that time, I didn't even check temperature. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I really don't. I'm an old school smoker. I could touch the smoker and tell you about the temperature. It wasn't really until the last few months I started even getting into, the thermometers and all that stuff. I'm old school. I just touched the smoker. I could feel it. But I knew if I cooked my Boston butts 10 hours, and if I went through the same process, they always come out the same way and they were perfect. But this particular one didn't. And come to find out is because there was a new smoker, and as you very well know, every time you get a new cooker, you got to learn that cooker.
Right.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Everyone's got their own personality and everything. So make a long story short, obviously the butts were done, but they were not fall apart done. And, it was a little bit, I never did bring it back up. I just told my wife, I said, I'm pulling this apart. I know that your dad's has probably got to be just like this. And so if he's watching, hey, I'm sorry about that. I won't let that happen again. Matter of fact, I sent him a Boston butt tonight, and I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
So trying to make up for that.
I got a question here. Is it okay to use bacon grease when cooking a plant-based burger for a vegan? Well,
I got to live up to you. I've never cooked a plant-based burger.
Me either. And if you're using bacon fat, I don't think that'd fly.
Yeah, it's kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, he had that on his show this morning. Hey, being overseas and everything, what was one of the weirdest things you ever eaten?
They called it in the Philippines called a balut, and I couldn't believe when I first saw it. But it's basically it's an egg, okay, with and this is going to sound pretty maybe not so appetizing, but it's got a full grown baby chick in it, but the egg is like boiled at the same time. Wow. And I never did try it, so maybe I didn't answer your question, but I was amazed when I saw that. I was just first of all, I don't know how you would do that, but second of all, I was pretty amazed. I never did try it, but there was some unique stuff. Yeah.
When you was a kid, is there anything that you didn't like that you find yourself liking now as an adult?
I love fried catfish as an adult, and I will go anytime you want to go. But as a kid, for some reason, I didn't really care for fried catfish. And then I hit adulthood. Maybe it's like coffee drinking. Once you hit 18, you just all of a sudden love it. But, now, I could eat catfish every night. But catfish is ironically enough. And I loved to fish growing up. I've fished quite a bit. But now I love catfish. But as a kid, I just wasn't a big fan.
I'm sure you probably been over to Hyde's then, hadn't you?
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, we was over there last Friday. and I said to my wife, I said, I'm craving fish. We got to go to Hyde's tonight. They got, to me, the best catfish I've ever
had. Yeah. It's crazy. Sure enough. What's one thing that no one knows about you or would even suspect?
You hit me with that early, and that is, my career working in the White House, working for President Reagan, President Bush, got to do some pretty phenomenal things. One of the Marines that I was stationed with, he actually, one of his duty stations temporarily was to work at the Secretary of Defense's stood guard at his door. And at that time it was Dick Cheney, and lots of times I would go over because the second year we lived in the barracks the first year. The second year we moved out to Woodbridge, Virginia, Lake Occoquan. And so on my way out, I would stop and pick him up at the Pentagon. And I always would go in and go right into Secretary Cheney's office and, got to spend a little time there. And that was, just some unique things like that. A lot of the Marines I was stationed with are still in and working in DC in different various government agencies. And so that would probably be the one thing that I think most people who probably know me know a lot about that. But then a lot of times people don't recognize or don't realize how much stuff I actually did in Washington, what I did out there.
Yeah. If you was to win the lottery, what would you do with the earnings?
I'd pay off everything I owe first. pay off my debts, and then from there, I would try to figure out how can we live on this the rest of our lives. Probably. I mean, I'm not a big materialistic person. I just want everybody to be happy. Everybody's got their needs met. Don't get me wrong. I'm ambitious and constantly striving for better things, but I don't let that guide me. I don't let that guide my thought process. But to be debt free would be pretty enjoyable. Yeah.
You like chili with beans or without it?
I'm more of a without it person, but what I like to do is I like to put in refried beans.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And it gets a good thickening agent. So we'll put just a sparing amount of kidney beans in there, just a small amount. And then we put refried beans in there, and it'll give you a lot, not lumpy. It's just a good, good texture chili. And it adds a lot of depth to the texture of it. I mean, I like a real thick chili though.
You need that recipe. Yeah. You need to show us
that.
You
need to do that video. You need to do that video.
That's good. We'll have to get that.
We need that one.
Now, I have this one question that I ask everybody. It's usually pretty controversial, and this is serious business. I know we've been cutting up and carrying on, but we're going to have to get serious here about this. But is it okay to put pineapple on pizza?
I thought about that, and I got to say, man, I can't see it. I'd say no, I can't do it. I've never tried it. So I'm willing to try it. So I haven't tried it, and so next time I see it on a smorgasbord, I'm not going to order it. But if I see it on a buffet, I want to try it out, and I'll report back to you.
You know what? Since we're hometown boys, the bowling alley has some really good pizza now. I'm serious.
Over in Kennett?
Guarantee it.
I got to try that out.
Teresa and I order it. We'll call ahead and we'll drive over and pick it up and drive back home and eat it. But
that's pretty good if you'll drive that far. That's about an hour's round trip.
Yeah. So, well, I know we're kind of bumping up there, and I know we're going to kind of cut it a little bit shorter tonight. But on a serious note, what are you most grateful for?
I'm most grateful, first of all, for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And all the blessings that He's provided to me, a beautiful wife, daughter, and that would be it.
Wow. That's plenty. That's plenty. Yeah, certainly. And, once again, folks, if you've not been over to Mike's channel, be sure and go check him out. We're going to get ready and wind down here. Go check his videos out. Leave him a thumbs up. Leave him a comment. If you're not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Tell him you've seen him on Mr. Cast Iron's channel, and I know he'll certainly appreciate that. But before we go, Mike, is there anything that you would like to say to our guest in the chat room, or certainly to all your subscribers before we go?
I just want to say, hey, I appreciate each and every subscriber I've got. I mean, I look at that daily and see that number go up. And the main reason I like it going up is I'm like, there's just more people I can interact with and share and learn from. And I've never really thought of YouTube in a monetary sense. I think of it more as an educational, sharing, and that kind of thing. So I appreciate each and every one of my subscribers. I appreciate each and every member of Baker's Barbecue Group, or Backyard Barbecue Enthusiast on Facebook. If you do go and you want to join, make sure you answer all the questions and agree to the rules. And I can get you in the group. But I love that. And just keep all the interaction coming. Keep the positive vibe in barbecue. Barbecue to me is a wonderful industry. It's one of the best ways you can share, time with friends and family. You can do fundraisers. I mean, you can do barbecue cook-offs. I mean, it's just the one thing that brings people together. Food and barbecue makes it even better. So I just want to say thanks to all my members, all my subscribers. I hope I get a bunch more. I welcome each one of you guys. And if there's anything I could ever do to help you learn, help you grow, let me know. And I'll try to figure out a way to do a video and try to share that information.
Man, we can't top that. So we certainly appreciate that, Mike. You've been a good sport. We appreciate you being on our show. Folks, we appreciate everybody in the chat room. We're going to get ready and call it tonight. Next week, I've got Lana with Pinch of Cooking going to be on. So we hope you're able to pop in with us and kind of share with that. But with that being said, we're going to say good night to you. It's Mike and Mrs. Cast Iron along with Mike Baker at Baker's BBQ. So you guys have a great night, and we'll see you later. Take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.